seeing you right in the center of my screen. So seeing our alumni come back is just what a wonderful family we have here. So happy to be here and happy to see all of you face to face.
I'll just jump in on that. When I was talking, I saw Andrew pop up on the screen and it was just like, oh, yay, our wonderful alumni. Great to see you.
All right, Dr. A, I know you're here floating around.
I was really thinking the same thing. What a wonderful family, albeit dysfunctional. It's maybe slightly dysfunctional, but wonderful altogether. I'm Dr. Andy Brown, Dr. A, and I kind of oversee the residency portion with Collagen. She's my partner in crime, and of course with all the faculty whom we could not do that without. And I have not been here since the beginning, and I'm kind of thankful for that, because I've heard horror stories of everything that they've had to go through in the beginning. But it's good to see everyone, and nice to see new faces and some of the people that have graduated. Good to see you guys back.
Great, thank you. Dr. Crowley, are you here? Dr. Okay, I was going to say you might be in the middle of bedtime, so.
Yeah, no, it's good to see everyone. Glad to be here and excited to hear some more from our alum and how things are going with them. And as always, I'm just really enjoying these town hall meetings with so many students in attendance. So it's wonderful to see everyone.
Thank you. Okay, I believe Dr. Rush Wilson is here as well. Dr. Rush Wilson, if you want to take it away, that would be great. If I've missed any other faculty or adjunct faculty, please jump in, introduce yourself, say hello. But I think I got everybody, so thank you.
I could say hi. This is Dr. Dalton. I was hoping to hide, but I suppose I'll say hi. I've only been here since last March, and I previously worked at Argosy University, which some of you came from. So I'm super glad to be here and see you all.
Thank you, Dr. Dalton. Colleen, I need your help for one more thing. I don't want to say the wrong dates, but first of all, I want to say hi to everybody. I'm glad that you're all here. Dr. LA just sent me a text saying that she can't be here because she really is not feeling well, but planned to be here. So the one thing, and this is where I need your help, Colleen, just to make sure, she wants me to make sure we announce the residency dates. So those would be July, I'm thinking 17th through 21st. Is that correct?
Yes, it's, let me pull it up. It's Friday, July 17th through Tuesday, the 21st.
Yes.
And it's around the Chicagoland area, so you can fly into either O'Hare or Midway.
And she wants everyone to know that we'll be having it in a conference center in the area because we've outgrown our space on campus. So that's important for everyone to know. There'll be more details coming. Saw a couple of reactions there, so there'll be more details coming. If you have any questions, feel free to send us whatever emails you have and questions by email, and we'll give you the information we have, but a formal announcement will come out so that you have all the details. Okay. That's that. I think there are any other additional announcements to add from Dr. Stretch. One thing I do want to let you know is, Dr. Sully, I am also updating an announcement that I made in my welcome video. I said I was going to have a group called Trust the Process, where we process through cases on the 1st and the 3rd week of every month, but I neglected to say where that would actually be held. So I will make sure that I post my Zoom room so that anybody who wants to come join us is welcome to do so, and make sure that you have access to those times so that you can come and be there and process through the cases with us if you'd like to. Okay, that's for faculty and for students. So with that in mind, those are my only announcements so far. So I guess we can kind of jump into what we're doing unless someone has a question. Someone about to say something?
I gotta hop in real quick. I just want to say it's a pleasure to see all of you. So many familiar faces. This is really awesome to see. It's uncommon to see this many people on a call that I actually like, so this is great. And also, I've been serving as the Alumni Residency Co-Chair for the Chicago School for about 8 months now. I just wanted to give an introduction for myself, for everyone to know that now. And I'm all here for all of you. I'm excited about residency coming up. I'm coming from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, back to Chicago, so I'm super excited. And again, it's exciting to see everybody here. I'm Andrew Charney, and I'm excited to have everybody back.
Well, thank you, Andrew. It's good to see you too.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Dr. Wilson.
Thanks. All right, so tonight we're going to have our alumni panel. And there are a list of questions here that the alumni are going to respond to. Let me pull those up really quickly.
Yeah, I was going to post, or I'm going to paste them in the chat just so everyone has them as a reference. Our alumni, I asked them to bring about 3 or 4 responses out of the 10 questions that were posed. So they have 3 or 4 prepared, and then if we have extra time, they can, you know, answer any more as we go through, because we do want to save some time at the end for questions from our students who called in. So without further ado, let me introduce Venicia. Venicia, if you can come on and say hi and introduce yourself, that would be great. Tell us a little bit about yourself, when you graduated, all that good stuff.
All right. Hi, my name is Venicia Webb. I started the program January 2015. So I was a part of the 2nd cohort. And I finished the program December 2017. Since then, I've taken the National Counselor exam and I passed it. And so I'm now a licensed professional counselor intern here in Texas, and I am currently working on my hours to be fully licensed. Yeah, and so pretty much I'm working, well, I was working in a substance abuse treatment facility. However, I ended up having to leave that job because there were a lot of administrative and environmental things that just didn't agree with me. So now I'm currently looking to work somewhere else. But I'm still getting my hours between me doing things with my supervisor and other practicum students that she has as well. I'm extremely happy to be here and to see all familiar faces: Colleen, Dr. Soley, Dr. E, Dr. Brown. I've met you before. Yeah, so I'm super excited.
Thanks, Venicia. Zainab, are you available to come in and say hi?
Yes. Hi, my name is Zainab Musa. I live in Michigan. I'm currently working at iAmerica. It's behavior and mental health. We service the community of the Hispanic, Arab American, the Black community. And I did my residency there and I ended up staying. And it's great to be back to see you all.
Thank you. All right, Curran, I know you're out there.
Yes, I am. Hello, everyone. It's good to see the family again. I graduated in, 2018. It seems like it was forever ago, but it wasn't. I'm in Arlington, Washington, and I am probably one of the more enthusiastic. I jumped right into private practice and been going strong ever since. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And I've been running full steam. Yeah, good to see all your friendly faces and the family here, and looking forward to getting to share tonight.
Great, thank you. And Michaela, if you can please wrap us up since Andy kicked us off, I guess, technically.
Hi, I'm Michaela Dietrich. I'm from North Central PA, so I'm like an hour and a half above Andrew. And I graduated in spring 2019. And from there, I've worked as a certified substance use counselor in PA for the past 5 years. So I still work there, PRN, kind of as needed and inpatient. But when I graduated, I accepted an outpatient position as a therapist with a private practice. And part of the stipulation with that was negotiating some licensure hours if I worked behavior rehabilitation services with kids. So I'm kind of under contract with them for licensure, but I'm able to grow my outpatient caseload in the meantime, so it keeps me pretty busy.
Great, thank you. Andy, I know you have to jump off a little early, so if you want to start and let us know kind of what questions you picked, if you want to start the conversation, that would be great. I just want to let everyone know that I did post the questions, or I guess paste the questions into the chat, so feel free to read through those. Really quickly, I'm just going to read through them just so everyone can hear. So first, how did you get the most out of university supervision? Second, what do I do with ethical dilemmas when they involve my supervisor? Third, how do you resolve possible conflicts with your supervisor? Next, how do I choose a supervisor after graduation? How do you bring up unmet needs to your supervisors? How often should your site review crisis procedures with you? 7, how do you self-advocate to get your needs met in supervision? 8, what is realistic to expect from the supervisor and supervisee at different stages in your development as a counselor? 9, how should I address multicultural issues in supervision? And 10, last but not least, should I take a job just because they offer free supervision? And then understanding that just because your job offers supervision does not mean the supervision will work for you. So just to recap, those are the 10 questions. Again, Andy, if you can kick us off, that would be great.
No problem. I'm going to pull them up really quick just to have them handy. So just a little bit about me. I'm a family-based mental health professional in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I graduated in August 2018 of the Chicago School. So I could say I've been out of, the graduate school for a little over a year now, but I've been working in the field for about 5 years. So how do I get the most out of university supervision? I think the diversity was honestly key when it came to university supervision specifically, because my supervision now, I kind of work with a lot of people that I'm not going to say are the same, but they have very similar thinking when it comes to family-based systemic mentality. So when I worked in, just family-based along with the school piece, it was very helpful to talk to different people of different cultures I was familiar with. That was above all the most helpful. And I would also get about 6 hours of supervision a week. So I would choose to focus on a different client at each supervision. I would definitely recommend that. I found that to be very helpful for me specifically, so I can get different perspectives on different clients on whatever was going on. Regarding ethical dilemmas, I really have been pretty lucky when it comes to my supervisors because I've worked with them for at least 2 to 3 years. So we've had good relationships. I did have one issue when I took a job as an outpatient therapist. I was doing addiction counseling, and I was brand new, and I was doing group counseling with not a whole lot of training. That I had an issue with, and for me personally, I went to my coworkers who were great, and they kind of helped me just work through a conversation of building myself up to actually talk to my boss directly. And eventually I, pretty much set a limit for myself where I said, hey, listen, like, this is a lot for me. I'm still trying to learn the ropes here, and I've only been here for like a month, and I'm doing group counseling. It was a lot. So I think you really just got to know your boundaries and go forward and really, use the people around you, because there's a lot of people in a similar boat that you are. So I would definitely recommend using your coworkers, because, those relationships are really transparent, or at least hopefully they are. For me, at least, they've been really great though so far. Resolving possible conflicts of your supervisor, I feel like I just answered that one along with the other one. How do I choose a supervisor at the graduation? I would say choose someone that you're really willing to, like, if they have a specialty in addiction and you really want to learn about addiction, that should be kind of your forefront. For me, I wanted to learn more about family-based systemic style, which is really like in-home counseling. So I went to someone who has an LPC and is a licensed professional counselor, but also has a lot of marriage and family background. Because when I got out of the Chicago School, I actually thought I wanted to do addiction. So I found a supervisor in the area who was starting an opioid clinic. So that was kind of how I thought. I want to do addiction. Let's go to the new opioid clinic in the area. So pretty much gave her a call, and I, found her through coworkers that I luckily had access to this person, and, gave it a shot, gave it 6 months, and I realized I really didn't like it. And that kind of showed me I want to really do something with families and specifically teenagers. So I ended up giving it a shot. I did my 6 months there, and then I went back to family based because that's kind of where my heart was. How do you bring up unmet needs to your supervisors? I think it's really key, like I said, to use your coworkers, because a lot of people are often, if there's conflict or you feel like you're not getting your needs met, it's usually, in my opinion, a system problem, and there's something else happening. And there might be something you notice in the room, even where there's tension, or there's just like something that's felt there. So again, I would just be open and vulnerable. Be open to having conversation with people that you're not so close to. And it'll actually give you a chance to become closer with those people. A lot of the therapists I work with are my friends. We have basically have a committee where we actually hang out every month. So that has really helped a ton, where we go out and we'll like pick a place and we'll basically connect on like how are things going. And we actually just lost our program manager. So a big part of like us working through that was talking to each other, because my program manager was a gift. I mean, she had a master's degree, which is honestly uncommon for this area for a program director or manager to have a master's degree. Every other manager I've had has a bachelor's degree. And she was a true clinician, and she just left us recently. So after she left, we kind of, had the idea, let's get together and really like support each other and be here for each other, because it's going to be difficult to get used to. So that's been really helpful for me. If you have the opportunity to start some kind of committee or just build relationship in a different way outside of work with other coworkers, I definitely recommend it. That's been so helpful to my own self-care. This is a really good question. How do you self-advocate to get your needs met supervision? I would definitely say coming in with an agenda. My boss is, his thinking when I go to supervision is usually, this is your time. You need to use it wisely. And if I want to watch a video of me for an hour and a half, I'll watch a video of me, and if I think that's helpful, because he can watch me. But I think you really have to be intentional, and that's the biggest thing about self-advocating for yourself, because if you're just going and, in my opinion, rambling about clients isn't as helpful. Sometimes you need to vent and you need to get things out. But I like to go in and use, diagrams like genograms, write down a little bit of like eternal dilemmas, timelines, just, have like kind of a thought of what you want to do when you walk in the room. And also I have licensure supervision, because I'm going to be applying for my license in exactly 44 weeks, not counting or anything. But when I go to see my other supervisor, I'm very intentional about getting outside perspective, because my current boss, my consultant, I have an hour and a half supervision with him, and he knows kind of the deal with all my clients. He's actually met some of them. So when I go to my licensure supervisor, she has no idea, and I'm relatively kind of new, so I get a very fresh outlook. And when I work with her, I'm very intentional about just kind of advocating what I need today, what I need clarity on. If I'm worried about my licensure hours, even, like, we'll talk about that. If we're worried about, a system thing within, everything going on, I'll talk about that. So just be intentional and think about really what you want to focus on. Is it realistic to expect from the supervisor to supervise you at different stages in your development as counselor? So what is realistic? I think it's realistic to expect as you go on, you will have to kind of carry more responsibility, where even though I'm working the same position I have for about 4 years now, minus the like limited time I left to do addiction counseling, I started training people, and it was kind of just pushed on me, and it's an opportunity for you. And I accepted it with open arms, because I think it's great. We need, more people in the field, and also more people to stay. There's less transition, in my opinion, in mental health agencies themselves, because there's a lot of turnover. So I think it's realistic to just, expect enough, but also balance, because the big thing I've been talking about in my supervision with my program manager leaving is I was very spoiled, and we had to go over basically like, you know, we have to look for balance. You know, we can't expect every program manager to walk in to have a, you know, master's degree with, you know, 15 years experience. So I had to really like kind of lower my bar a little bit and just expect, you know, this is going to be perfect. It's not going to be easy, but you will adapt, you will get what you need, and still work with this person and build a relationship. So I think as you develop as a counselor and go forward, really there will be just natural opportunities that come up, and I just empower you to take them every chance you can get. And if you kind of like stay stuck, you will feel like you're not as fulfilled. And that's a big thing I've been learning with, you know, burnout, and even the amount of hours you have to work for counseling itself is a lot. It could be really exhausting, but also, you know, take the good moments and the opportunities along the way. Addressing multicultural issues, I think, is really helpful for me specifically because I work with a Black female therapist, and we work side by side, day by day, 5 days a week. So I'm able to get my own perspective and share perspective throughout all of our sessions, which is amazing. It's such a helpful team aspect. And we have team supervision together. So we'll often pick up on different patterns. For example, really quick, we had a father who would purposely ignore her, I noticed in session. And so basically I was noticing in session, and I asked, hey, are you noticing, like, you know, he's really not making eye contact with you, and I think he's cutting you off even sometimes. Yeah, I noticed that too. So we took that back to my supervisor, and we're like, you know, do you think this is a thing? Like, we watched it on video, but we really just had to digest it. Before you just dive on a theory, you want to like kind of get some thoughts across the board between supervisor, my partner, my own thoughts. And we just were able to collaborate on like, how do we deal with this? How do we address this? So after we kind of saw the pattern occur frequently, we did eventually address it in a very gentle manner. And it went really well. And I would say now they have a much better relationship because of it. This is my favorite question. This is the last one. Should I take a job because they offer free supervision? My initial reaction is absolutely not, because I actually did that in the thought process at the time that, okay, this job with addiction counseling has free supervision for me. I'm really going to be like, you know, on top of the world. I'm going to love my job and everything's going to be great. Well, come to find out, my supervision was not even close to as good as I had it before when I left my company at first. So I actually went back and chose to pay the $45 a week just in order to get the supervision I really feel like I needed. So I would not put all your eggs in a basket when it comes down to, you know, there's free supervision here. It is a perk. Don't get me wrong. If it's really something that you want to work in, it's a field that like you really are passionate about, and you feel like the supervisor is a good fit for you, then absolutely go for it. But I definitely think, you know, look both ways before you dive into it just because of that. That should not be the sole reason of why you go into it for me personally. So that's all I got. I hope that was helpful. And signing off.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you. So for everybody else who's left, for our alumni and for everyone else here, I hope that you can hear that supervision is really important. But what I'm wondering from some of you who aren't that far along yet, what you think the point is. Why are we even talking about supervision? Why is it so important, before I invite the other alumni to come back in and give their perspectives too? Why does this matter? Why are we talking about this with you now? Anybody have any idea? Out of 5 different screens full of people, nobody has any idea why supervision is important?
Hi, I'll say something.
Okay.
So I know for me, I'm getting ready to eventually start that process. And for me, I'm new. And so I want to know everything there is about going into supervision and starting the internship and starting the practicum, because I feel like I have, you know, I'm a chicken with my head cut off. So hearing everybody talk about it gives me that much more confidence into when I eventually have to start that process, I won't be so, flabbergasted or, overwhelmed with that process. So for me, even though I'm not starting it, I'm a person who wants to know, a year in advance or 6 months in advance, because when I get to that process, it's going to be like, oh, I don't have to stress about that anymore, because I've heard so many other alumni and everybody talk about it. So it's so much more, it's much easier for me to digest that, I guess. Sorry, that was a long-winded.
I appreciate it. So what you're saying essentially, Jordan, is that you are preparing. You're getting the information that you need so that you can prepare for that process once you get to that point.
Yes.
Excellent.
In layman's terms, exactly.
Anybody else? Thank you.
If I go.
Sure.
The reason that I think that it's really critical, it really is about 3 or 4 different things. Most importantly is standardization of training, because regardless of what we're doing, we are going to tend to specialize in 1 or 2, maybe 3 different things, depending on our demographics or who our services are going to. So we need to have standardization to make sure that we're meeting the right criteria for licensure and stuff like that. Another aspect of it is our own wants and desires whenever we're going for licensure. Like me, I'm prior military, so I'm going to seek things from a supervisor or from that quest to cater to that different type of community. And then we also have to be flexible depending on the client's needs also.
Yes. And one thing that you are bringing up is licensure. And as you're speaking about licensure, I'm thinking, I hope no one confounds the idea of licensure and practice. It's kind of like a wedding and a marriage. You can have a wedding, but that doesn't mean you have a good marriage. You have to keep working at the marriage. And with licensure, you'll get the license, but you have to continuously work on your practice. And you'll have a supervisor who helps you formulate and create a good practice, a practice that's consistent with your ethics and with what you want to do with your career. So that's what makes it really important. Andrew talked about, should you just take free supervision? Well, that's kind of like asking, should you just take free driving lessons? Might they be good? They might be. They might be horrible. So it depends on what you're getting. Sometimes you get what you pay for, sometimes you get a bargain. So it's important to be mindful of the type of supervision that you're getting from whoever provides that supervision. And you may have more than one supervisor. If you have a specialty area, you may have somebody else who helps you with that very specific type of supervision and somebody else who's doing the more general supervision for you. So you will have a different supervision experience necessarily than the person who's, right to your right or to your left in this Brady Bunch type square we have going on here. What about some of our other alumni? Benicia, you said you recently got your license?
No, I'm a LPC intern.
You're an intern.
So I'm not completely licensed, but I am licensed.
Okay.
And I've been super anxious to jump in, and y'all just don't know how happy I am to be back in this environment and to see how much this program has grown from where it started. Like, this is exciting for me. So I'm having a moment right now. All right, but so I want to start with the free supervision one, with the one about the free supervision. I definitely say no. It's much better for you to pay and get the best supervision and get the best supervisor that you can find, rather than just getting something, because it's free and because it's not in the budget. You might have to say no to some things and cut some things out just so that you can make sure you are getting the best supervision that you can get possibly. Because for me, the supervisor I have, I've actually been with her since January 2008. January 2018. Yeah. And the way that I found her was on Indeed. Like, I was looking for jobs and she popped up and I was like, okay, let me apply for this. And I wasn't really even sure what it was, but it was just so aligned that she was really perfect for what I needed. Because what a lot of supervisors are trying to do is to do case reviews, do highs and lows, and then give you some advice here and there, but that's about it. But she goes further into what we really need as clinicians, being she does methods and techniques trainings with us, which we can also count towards our hours. And also CEUs, like we can count that as well. And even like during our supervisions, like she literally will take one of our 2-hour group supervisions and she'll just let us ask questions, clinical questions, and she answers them. And she's just a really, really, really good supervisor. And so it's definitely important that when you're looking for a supervisor, that you first make a list of what do you want and what do you need out of this career first. And then find a supervisor that matches that. And so that may mean you have to sit down with them, ask them questions, have just an impromptu interview, I guess. But just be willing to actually to advocate for yourself and for what you need, which goes into one of the other questions that talks about, like, how do you advocate for your needs? Well, the thing is, like, if you're just sitting around with your supervisor or even your job and your needs aren't getting met, that's an issue, and you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're not getting what you need. Because in the end, once you are completely licensed and you are done with earning hours and all of that, if you leave and feel like you haven't gotten everything that you needed, that's on you and not your supervisor or anybody else. So you got to make sure that you know what you need. And here again, I go with lists. Make a list of what you need. Make a list of the things that you want as well, and make sure those things are getting met. And it doesn't mean that you have to be aggressive about talking about what you need. You do not have to be aggressive. You can just be like, hey, whoever your supervisor is, these are just some things that I'm really needing right now. And if they can't provide it for you, then try and find it somewhere else, or try to find it within yourself. Just make sure you get exactly what you need for yourself. How do you get the most out of the university supervision? That was the best time for me when I was in supervision with Dr. Crowley and Dr. Hudson and Dr. Stower. Like, those are my 3 supervisors that I had in that last year, and those were the best times for me, because not only was I able to vent, but I was able to share the things that I had learned from me being on my practicum site, and the things that I just learned in the program 2 years prior. So it really helped with me being able to know and understand that where I am is okay. And so that's kind of what I want to give to y'all, because earlier there was somebody who said in the chat that just seeing the alumni, we know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and there is. Trust me, for those of you that are just beginning, or you're in the middle, or you're almost at the end, there is a light. You are seeing a lot of light from all of us alumni. Trust me, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. You might have times that you cry and you want to quit. Trust me, I had all those moments, all of them. So everything you're feeling, it's fine. You're okay. You have a whole lot more staff than what I had, and you have a whole lot more people as far as like your peers and your classmates and the people in your cohort than what I had. So to me, this is beautiful to see so many different people here in this program. And so lean on the people that you have here.
You're inspiring people per what's going on in the chat, Venicia. So thank you, because you're motivating folks.
Yeah, and it's always been a part of my personality, but now I'm figuring and finding out that that's really truly who I am. And the thing is, outside of, since I've graduated, I found out so many things about myself, but even in the program, I found out a lot about myself that I never knew. Specifically, like for me, when it came to resolving conflicts with supervisors or professors, it was intimidating, because I was like, they're they're professionals, and you know, they may see me as less than, like I felt inferior to them, even though I really wasn't. But that's just how I felt. I felt like they're here and I'm here, and you know, that's just how I came in feeling, and it was a horrible feeling. But the thing is, like when I had a problem, I didn't just go to that person first. I went to my peers. I went to other people first to be like, okay, like this is the dilemma. This is how I'm thinking I should handle it. Can you give me some advice? Like you always want to rally people around you to get advice. You never want to just go in and be like, this is how I'm going to handle it, because it might not be the best way.
Okay. Let me make sure I include Zainab and Michaela and Curran in this too. Please share your experiences too, so that we can hear from all of you.
I just wanted to say, on top of the free supervision, that question at the end. So there were just a few different things that I navigated, and I was so thankful that I started that during the fieldwork process. I was like, okay, so what's gonna happen next? Because it just kind of jumps on you when you graduate. So some different considerations that I was walking through was, I had some job opportunities and they had LPCs on staff, and that's what I needed for supervision. But understanding that just because there's licensed professional counselors on staff doesn't mean that they're willing to offer you supervision, nor are they going to necessarily be available. So making sure that you actually are talking to the people that you potentially would like to be working with. I actually went through maybe like a couple interviews where I interviewed professionals, not formally or anything, but some people that I knew that could provide supervision. I met with them and talked a little bit about what I would need as a professional, but also just what working after graduation was going to be like, and scheduling. I did somehow work up the courage to make cold calls in my community. I definitely did a lot of research beforehand, and had like some networking opportunities, but just reaching out and seeing what practices and agencies were willing to take on a supervisee in their schedule even, because counselors have to take time out of their day to provide supervision. They might get paid for it. They usually do, but so cold calls, I definitely did that. One of the main questions that I got though when I did cold calls for supervision was, where are you going to get your hours from? And I didn't consider that at first either. I just was like, well, I'll be working and then I'll get supervision. But you have to maintain your hours in order to be eligible for supervision, or for your supervision to even count. So just keeping in mind what your what your caseload is going to look like wherever you do decide to work. I did personally opt for a free LPC because the practice that I actually was looking at in the area decided to offer that as a perk, because that's just how they attract clinicians even. And it ended up being a really incredible match for me, and I'm so thankful for it. I had to kind of do like business negotiations. I signed contracts to work with them and receive supervision because they're kind of putting out for me. But I kind of have to put my head down and work the job that they want me to in order to get LPC supervision, but on the side, they've allowed me to kind of build an outpatient caseload. So it's not necessarily in my scope or, you know, in my long-term goals to work with kids in behavior services or mobile therapy. I like it. It's not my forever job, but I know for like the next 2 years and 3,000 hours, in order to get licensed, that just is what, you know, that's just what my schedule is going to have to be like.
I'd like to jump in as well. So I would say the process with supervision is especially important after graduation. It's probably, in my experience, it's been one of the most important parts to my development as a counselor at the beginning of my clinical work, because coming out of the Chicago school, you become very passionate about being able to and having the opportunity to help other individuals, and being able to work with supervision and finding a good clinical supervisor that is aware of a lot of different areas and can help you narrow down and figure out what really resonates with your skill set, what really helps you build the understanding of how you're going to connect with those clients on a daily basis. And my clinical supervisor has worked very closely with me on taking the knowledge that I've learned and the knowledge that I've gained and being able to figure out how to apply that into the clinical setting, and being able to have that opportunity to understand and find your clinical voice, because that's one of the most important things, is being able to understand who you are as a counselor and being able to find those individuals that you can share with and connect with. And it gives you, your clinical supervisor will walk with you through that journey at those different stages as you mature into a fully understanding and counselor in who you are throughout that process.
Excellent, thank you. And Zainab.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So I can start with how do you choose a supervisor? So I ended up going on the Michigan website and choosing a supervisor. I don't know how much you guys heard about Michigan, but we actually were about to lose all our license, and we were like fighting it for a couple of months. And we were able to save our license because they were going to do a bunch of different things to us. So the one thing that supervision had helped me is navigate during that time, like, well, how do I advocate for my license, and what are the things I need to be involved in? So I ended up signing up to be a part of the mental health committee in the state of Michigan, and we focus on, and we'll be going to each month, we go to different city, and we gather all counselors, and we have lunching and gatherings and meetings, and we just talk about how to protect our license. That was a good one. My supervisor ended up introducing me to this, sorry, my light went out. And then how do you get the most out of your university supervision? I believe that was the stepping stone. That's very important because it all starts at the school. Be present, be active, listen. That's the place to ask questions. That's the place where you learn about ethics and where do you get support. That is probably the safest place to make mistakes and learn and find solutions. And that is the place you build relationship with the future. Because the people I was in the supervision in school, I'm still with them till today. We have chats and we ask each other questions. We're supportive, and we're all over the different states. And how do I address conflicts with supervisor? I always think that you should be building a relationship with your supervisor on a daily basis. Don't wait till the conflict happens to solve something. You should be already building a relationship with your supervisor. If there's no relationship, going to them for a conflict is going to be very difficult. But if you have a positive relationship and you have that give and take, you're able to find more solutions. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, Zainab, along with that, like I definitely, looking back at university supervision, I wish I would have been a little bit more, I mean, I definitely think that I was open and I pushed myself, but just being true to what my own ideas and interests were, because that's really where you can kind of cultivate, and your supervisor actually through the internship and fieldwork process can help you kind of hone in on, you know, if this is the way you think and these are your ideas and this is your creativity, what are the strengths of that to be able to apply to just your clinical practice overall. And just being open to like the other points of view of your peers. The supervision setting, like that environment, it totally models as a clinician working with a client. And so when when I do intakes with my outpatient clients, we talk about what does, you know, what happens when we encounter barriers in counseling, just to kind of prepare them, because it's going to happen. They might, you know, take something a different way, or something might come up and they feel like they can't talk about it or whatever. And for me, well, I mean, all of us as clinicians, we would prefer that our clients come to counseling and address it with us, so that we can work through that and help them overcome, and just kind of like overcome whatever hindrances and barriers that come into the treatment setting. So like, we don't want to see our clients no show, or have to like close out a ghost chart because they just never came back because they never said anything. So same goes for supervision. If there's something that comes up, you know, take the face-to-face. I've never been huge about confrontation. Like, I've never been a confrontational person, but I've definitely learned to speak up for myself and just do the face-to-face resolution, because sometimes things just like, they get blown out different ways. And that's why when we do ethical decision-making models, we use consultation, because sometimes that outside point of view really kind of points at things that we didn't see in the first place.
Yeah, true.
Excellent. So I have a question for all of you. Does anyone have any question or any point they'd like our alumni to discuss? I see people talking in the chat. Is there anything you'd like to share actively with them?
I was wondering if the alumni, their supervisor was instrumental in their professional identity.
Thank you, Eve.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think so.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. Because I think your supervisor, even eventually, without unconsciously, you start copying some of their things and taking their stuff into your practice.
So they're modeling for you, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to figure out the word, but exactly, they're modeling for you. I'm lucky. I'm glad I found my supervisor. I mean, she's a beautiful human being, and she just does it because she's a PhD. I mean, she doesn't even need the money, and she's doing it because she knows students can't pay it, and it's off-site, because I want someone off-site to get a different experience. And she only charges like $30. And she's remarkable. And there's 2 of us in her group, and then sometimes she switches it for individual. And we have a plan. She told me, go set a plan. Know what you want. You have to know what you want. You know, that way we know where we're going to start. So we put a plan together, a physical plan of what I'm looking at and what I want out of the supervision. It's just like a treatment plan. And then, you know, it's exactly like that.
Yeah, and even for my supervisor, like I mean, of course she checks in with us, you know, when we have our supervisions, but she does a yearly end of the year interview with us, and she talks to us about our plan that we have for the future, but also the plan that we have now, you know, asking us like, you know, what do we want from supervision? What do we need from supervision? I mean, and it really truly helps when you have somebody that's right there to actually help you gather together and put together who you want to be professionally. Because, I mean, it's a monster out here. It's a monster. And so being able to have somebody that really, truly cares about you professionally, and even just and even personally, and just being a person, like, it's very refreshing, because there are some people that I know that have not had the best supervision, and that have had like some really crazy experiences. I think that for a lot of us, we're just kind of blessed to have, you know, like a good experience right off, you know, right in the beginning. And so, I mean, and even for me, like, it's definitely helpful to have somebody whose passion matches my passion, and who also wants to make sure that there are great clinicians out here. Because some of what I'm hearing from people who are currently getting counseling, and how they're being treated, and the things that are being said to them, it's horrible. It's very horrible.
You brought up an interesting point too, Benicia. I'm sorry, who was speaking?
That's right, guys. I'll ask. I have a question too.
Okay, go ahead, ask your question, and then
Okay. Now we've been talking about the supervision. Is that normally from where you do your internship or practicum, or is it the supervision that we're talking about something entirely different? You know what I mean?
It's all of it. I mean, it's the supervision for when you're doing your practicum and supervision when you graduate and you apply for your licensure, however it works for the state that you're in. So, I mean, it's both. I mean, so literally like the supervision you get from the university with whoever those three people are, with whoever those three professors are going to be, it's literally the same. And so, and I definitely would say use that model to help you for when you go out into the real world and get an LPC supervisor or, you know, whatever type of supervisor you have in your state.
Okay. Then the other question was, I think I don't know how to pronounce her name, Zine, I guess, whatever that guy.
Zainab.
Yeah, she actually said that she went on like a site in Michigan and like for looking for a supervisor. Is that something that is that right? Did I hear that right?
I would say definitely use your resources. I think, Benicia, you had mentioned about going on Indeed maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, like use LinkedIn. I have colleagues that have, you know, found each other through LinkedIn to start up practices together. And that's how, you know, depending on how your community is, network and, you know, use whatever resources you have, honestly.
Yeah,
Zainab, unmute yourself. Hold on, I'm sorry, Zainab, unmute yourself because we can't hear none of what you're saying and you were probably saying some really good stuff.
Okay, I got it. I can pay attention. So I was saying in the state of Michigan, what happened was we were having so much problems with licensing. I mean, there was this, I guess, people getting away with getting a license without, they were being supervised without a person that has a license. So there was a lot of chaos. So they had to clean a lot of stuff up. So I ended up, to be safe, to go on the Michigan website and just get their list of approved supervisors that are 100% approved. So because I didn't want to like do my hours and then at the end they tell me, oh, all these hours are not approved, because a lot of people were facing that problem. So I went to the safer route, went straight to Lara, and then got the list.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Benicia, you mentioned briefly that there are some challenges. How do you address challenges? That's a little bit different than the questions we've had here, but it fits in. How do you address them when they arise? What do you do with that?
Okay, I say something about challenges. What did I say?
Just in general, when you see something when you face something that's challenging, how do you figure out how to approach it?
I mean, if it's like something outside of work or the profession, well, when it comes to the profession, I definitely use the ethical dilemma model. I don't necessarily remember the steps, but I mean, I think about the situation for what it is, and then I write down like my views on the situation, or I think about my views on the situation, and then I get advice from people. Like I may talk to my mom, I may talk to my supervisor, I may talk to some of my peers that I graduated with or that I was in the program with. I mean, it just really kind of all depends on who you are and how you choose to handle challenges. But I mean, because the thing is, you never want to go in just trying to handle things on your own. Like that is probably one of the worst things you can do. You want to get other advice from people that you know, because the thing is, a lot of people might have actually been through what you've been through. Or something similar, and they may be able to help you or make you see a different viewpoint from what you saw. So just, I mean, definitely like connecting with people is like the most important thing ever. It is like, it literally probably is for me at my core, like being able to connect and talk to people is just super important, because if I was doing this all on my own and didn't have anybody, I'd be in a whole lot of trouble. So just make sure you have a good amount of people that you can talk to and that you can discuss different situations with and just bounce ideas.
So you built the network and you know how to consult.
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
I have something to add. And with challenges, I faced a challenge during my supervision crisis where I was working out at based in Detroit, and there's a lot of crisis. So I went to the supervisor and I told her I need a strategy in place to figure out how are we going to deal with all these crises that are coming in their walk-ins. So we actually sat down and did a plan, and we still use it till today.
Excellent.
I just wanted to hop in really quick too. This is Andrew. One concept that I learned from, I think it was Dr. Rush Wilson, while I was in university supervision was get your own therapist. Even though you are a counselor or a therapist, you should really have your own therapist. This idea was kind of hard for me to bite onto at first, be honest, but I've been in my own therapy for, I think, 5 or 6 months now. And it's been more helpful than anything because I literally see 4 people a week between my licensure supervisor, my therapist, who's my own person, on top of my clinical consultant and my group supervisor. I get so much support from all these people that you need to just take care of yourself, because in my personal opinion, it's very cliche to say self-care. What are you doing for self-care? What's your actual plan? What does it look like? Make time for you, because when you as a counselor, you need to assess how much things are bothering you. And a big thing that I look for when I'm looking at addressing challenges is how much am I talking about a certain case? How much is it burning me out? And how emotionally drained am I from a certain situation or crisis? Because if I'm finding that I'm talking about the same client in all 4 of those supervisions, then I'm going to need to really work on, there's something else there that's bothering me. And there's something that's getting to me personally. So you really need to look kind of at yourself in the mirror and just kind of figure out what's going on right now that you're really taking a lot of your own time to work on that. So I don't really recommend, if anything to take away from my message, get your own therapist before you get in the field. It'll do you a lot of good.
Thank you, Andrew. And with that note, I know we are at time. So everyone, thank you for joining. Enjoy your evening, and I will stick around a little bit in case anyone has something they want to say, but otherwise, enjoy your night.
Yes,
thank you to all of our alumni. Sorry,
yeah,
Kelly,
thank you so much. Just wanted to say, Venetia, Michaela, Zainab, Curran, Andy, Andrew. I mean, you truly are the light at the end of the tunnel, like that they said. So thank you so much for your time. It's much appreciated. And yeah, I'll stick around for a little bit too if anybody has any questions. And this will be recorded and posted, so don't worry. You can watch it again and again.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you. I really enjoyed this, and y'all have made my heart happy for me to be able to just come back and see a couple of my former professors and people that I've met at residencies, things like that. And I just really have to say, this is really truly a dream come true to see so many people in this program from where we started. So thank you all for this opportunity. In the chat, I put my email address in there. So this goes for anybody, even the people that will see this recording. You can email me at any time, ask me any questions you may have about the program or life outside the program. I'm totally here for it. So thanks, guys.
Thank you again. Good night, everyone.
Good night. And I'm the same. I'm going to leave my email if anybody wants anything. All right. Good night, you guys.
Same here. It's in the chat if anybody needs email or phone number. Thanks, guys.